What's up guys, Jacob from FuelTech USA, and today we're here with the first part of our series. We're going to teach you guys everything you need to know and how to use on the time-based features. So for part one of this series, we're going to cover driveshaft curves, how to build one, roundabout timing numbers you would use. Seems to be a pretty popular subject in our comments. You guys have been asking for this one, so we're going to do this one first. And we're going to hop on the laptop and let's get into it. All right guys, so for you to build a driveshaft curve for your car, we first need data to start with. We can't make one out of thin air. So normally what I would tell a guy to do is, you don't have to set the world on fire. Try to get an A to B pass, and then we at least have data to work off of. You can build your line and work up from there. We've got two examples to show you. One's going to be a radial tire car, one's going to be a slick tire car. The drive shaft and tire behavior is totally different between the two. It's kind of different strategy on each one. But we're going to start with the radial log because they're fairly simple. Like, it's kind of just a straight up line. It goes pretty smooth the whole way. It's going to be easier to plot out. So once you've got your A to B run, you save it on your laptop, and then you can bring it over here to the tuning software. We can actually lay it right in and then build our curve off of that. So we have our log. This one's called Radial Log. We're going to go to the tune side, FT Manager, and click Load Data Log File here. We're in Time-Based Compensations. Now this thing's loaded in. This might be a little small, looks kind of small to work with. We can minimize this side tab. There's a lot of channels turned on, stuff we don't really need for this. We can just hit the group tabs and turn all this off. Main thing we're going to look at here is going to be RPM, just to have a good reference where you're at in the run, and driveshaft RPM. We're going to shrink this down a little so it's not way longer than we need to be working with. So this line is the driveshaft RPM. Normally what I like to do is we're going to start out and build a line right on top of this one. We have two options for driveshaft curves. We have either advance or retard, or actually an ignition cut. On something like this, this is just some background. It says small block Ford nitrous car, one kit, pretty simple setup. I would only use timing retard normally on a nitrous car. I wouldn't recommend any ignition cut. Like normally they want to pop the intake and stuff like that. Most of our big power V8 stuff, we're going to try to stay away from the ignition cut. It's hard on engine parts. The timing retard is actually really easy on engine parts. And that's going to be most commonly what some guys do. If you have to show up to a no prep and like off the trailer and make a run, I've seen a lot of guys use ignition cut pretty successfully. Just understand it's going to be a little harder on the motor over time. So starting out here, we've got a lot going on. Just turning this on, we've got A and B line, timing high, timing low. And then you see these numbers here like 98, 93, stuff like that. That's a mile an hour, not even a driveshaft RPM. That's your default. That's what it's going to be when you start with. So let's bring this side tab back over. Let's go to Configure Time-Based Compensations. And we're just going to tell it to use driveshaft RPM instead of just a mile per hour number. Come back to Time-Based Compensations. Then that's something more familiar like we're used to looking at, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 RPM. Before we start moving too much around right here, I just want to explain what each one of these do. There's an A line, a B line, timing high, timing low. So the way the FuelTech processes this setup is your A or your B line, whichever one, they can be on the bottom. I prefer to have the A line first and then the B line higher than that. Just to me, that makes more sense. A comes before B. So before I really get into explaining what each one of these little things does, I'm going to make the curve first and then explain it to you, and it's going to make more sense. If I explain it beforehand and then build the curve, it might be kind of hard to follow. So you guys can kind of follow along here how I'm going to build the curve, and I'll explain some things along the way. So just to start out with, I'm going to build my A-line so we can turn the view off for all these other ones, and I'm only worried about this A-line here. What I'm going to do is plot this, I mean right on top of this line. What that's going to do is basically ensure this car will make this same run over and over and over. If it tries to go faster, it's going to take timing out and slow it down. If it tries to spin, like knock the tire off, it's going to take timing out and slow it down. Something to keep in mind when you build one of these curves is once you try to go faster, you need to move these up too along the way. And that's all kind of dependent. How much you move it is, I don't know how big of a jump you're trying to make. A 50, 100 RPM change is a decent change. Normally, if it's a new car and you're just kind of dialing in from there, that's something I wouldn't be scared to go 100, 150 RPM. If this thing's already on the edge, like if you got a radial car, I don't know, a 275 car, this thing runs 380s, you're not going to be moving this thing 100 RPM at a time. It's going to be small numbers like 20, 50, if that. And on these numbers, number of dots, how far you got them spread out, what RPM you set it, I mean, there's 100 different ways to do it. Some guys will put a dot here, a dot here, a dot here. I mean, really super trace the curve. This car isn't overly complicated. It's not gonna come out here at 4 seconds and knock the tire off. Like it's got small block with one kit. It doesn't have a ton of power out back. Normally I would start and just go ahead and move this drive shaft up, out back. If for whatever reason, I don't know, air's good, you're picking up speed out back, leave it room to go a little quicker. So now we have the A-line built. You might notice our very first dot is kind of way high and out of the way. Our first dot always has to be 0, 0, 0. I'd like to have it so high and out of the way that like we're not going to hit it by accident. There's no point in 0.01 seconds in the run, take timing out of it. Like if that's going to make or break your run, you need to work on the car. Like you're so far off, this little bit of timing we're pulling out is not going to help you. So now we've got the A-line built. Now the easy way I kind of like to do with the B-line is I'll count how many dots I have here. Basically copy and paste these values into the B-line. First, make sure your B-line has the same amount of values so the stuff copies over correctly. We're gonna go check it out. I've already counted, both of these have 9 already. If yours is a different amount for whatever reason because you added dots along the way, then you can either hit add value. This can add just a single value anywhere you want. Or normally I would do fill values and just tell it, okay, I want this many points just to make it match the A-line. So these both have 9. What we're gonna do is take the A-line, we're gonna grab this whole first column, Control C for copy, come to the B line, Control V for paste. Come back, we're gonna grab all of our RPM values, copy, and paste. So now if we hit view on the B line, they're the same. They're literally the same line. This is a super simple way to set it up. This is kind of going to be your easiest way to get going. Our B line, now we can add however much of a window we want to give this thing. So I'm going to say 200 RPM. So I'm going to hit A for add. Add 200. Now, the whole way along that line, we've gave this thing a 200 RPM window to work in. And that's going to be more important here on the timing low, timing high. Timing low, what this is your lower line here. When it hits this lower line, it's going to pull this much timing right when it touches it. I mean, if it runs 1 RPM over, it's going to pull this much timing. Usually you should go pretty light here on however much timing you're going to pull out. You might do 1, 2, 3 degrees, depending on application. Like this, I would probably start with 1. So we're going to put in -1. So if it just even like right here early where it kind of runs over right here, it would start to pull that 1 degree. So timing high, this is the one that you're going to put your bigger number in, like, okay, this thing's getting away from it. We need to take a lot of timing out and slow it down. Something, a bigger number here, depending on application. Some stuff you might pull 20 degrees. This thing's already got a lot of timing out. It's a nitrous car. They're pretty timing sensitive to slow down. I'm going to say take out 8 if it goes all the way up there. Let's do 9. It's a nice round number. So now it's going to take 9 up there. It's going to take 1 down here. And there's a 200 RPM window. So that's 8 degrees timing difference between the lower line and the upper line. So if we're only 100 RPM above this line, it's going to be up to 5 degrees. It's going to take 4 out. If it keeps going all the way to the top, it'll have 9 out up here. If it gets everything under control, when you get back under this bottom line, then you're just going to go back to your full timing you already had pre-plotted in here. There's no way to make this thing speed the car up. There's no way to make this thing add timing. This is only going to manage power, take power away if need be. Something else to note, you'll see right here on the gear change, this drive shaft spike. This is going to be hard to get out of most cars, especially something with a pretty tight converter. Some guys will try to get elaborate and build their curve around this, and then some guys, they'll go to a gear change compensation, try to take timing out there to keep that under control. Something like this car, it's not going to have enough power to strike the tire at, I don't know, 1.9 seconds out. So you can even let it run through the drive shaft curve. It can take that timing out right on the shift, and then when it comes back under the line, the full timing's back in. So instead of having to pre-plot a gear change timing retard with this drive shaft curve, that's almost going to take care of itself. And then from here, like I said, if you want to speed the car up, I would grab my A line. And keep in mind, this is kind of where in the run you want to speed it up. Like if you just want to speed it up early, you would grab the first couple numbers. So like here, I'm trying to go faster to 60 foot. I'm going to add 50 RPM. That's going to give it a little more room to go faster before pulling any timing out. But if we go to start to knock the tire off, if we go up just a little bit faster, it's going to start taking that timing out. But something to keep in mind, if you want to keep your window the same between the two, then like, okay, I grabbed the first 5 boxes here. I'm going to come to the B line and also grab these first 5 boxes and add 50 RPM. Just to keep that 200 RPM window kind of happy, and it's a really easy baseline to work off of. 200, 100, it's kind of easy to plot it out in your head how much timing is going to come out of it. All right, so even though this is an application I wouldn't use an ignition cut on, I'm going to show you guys how to build that line from scratch. So just right above it, it says time-based drive shaft RPM speed cut. So we'll go to enable. We're going to turn that thing on. I'm going to copy paste basically same values in here as our B line, this higher line. The way most guys will use this is we're going to run up until we touch this highest line. It's pulling as much timing as we want to pull. And this is like, man, this thing's really out of control. We got to start doing some ignition cut to hold it back. Like I said, this is usually more common in like an off the trailer situation where like that first pass is going to make you or break you. You got to get data, you got to get down. But something to note on this one, we just have an RPM number and an amount of ignition cut. There's no way to kind of adjust the 2 lines. That's here in configure time-based compensations. This is just basically the window that it's going to work in. Kind of like how we did the 200 RPM spread on the drive shaft line. You just manually type in one number here. So we could do, this is 100. That's pretty simple round number. It's going to be easy to explain how much cut it's doing. So we're going to come back. time-based compensations. I'm going to turn some of this other stuff off so we don't have to look at it. Right now we just have the B line, that highest line where it pulls the most timing. We're going to come and copy paste again. Grabbed our time first. Now we're grabbing the RPM side. So between these two, now this cut line is laid right on top of our B line. I mean, it's the same thing. So this is saying, okay, how far past the B line we're going to let this thing go before it does ignition cut. Most guys barely have any window here. Like, I'm going to go like 20. I mean, we can give it a little room over that B line, but this is just the next level. Once we're past ignition retard, we need to do ignition cut to slow this thing down. That's when it's going to come in. And then this cut limit is how much ignition cut it's allowed to use if it runs that full 100 RPM over this line. 90% is crazy. 90%, this thing's going to do a front flip. It's going to stop on the track. I would not do that much cut on anything. Most stuff you could do 20-30% and it's going to be a noticeable slowdown. This is commonly like something when you hear a car going down the track and it sounds like it's breaking up or something, but it's making a good pass. This is like a really aggressive traction control. Well, so let's put, just for easy number's sake, we can put 20. So if we're 50 RPM above this line, it's going to do 10% ignition cut. And what that is, 10% ignition cut, is 10 of the next 100 ignition events are going to be cut. So once you go up higher numbers like that 90 that was in there, that's 90 out of 100. This thing's going to stop. So something like 10, 20, that's enough to just kind of tickle it, just slow it down a little. And it's not so hard on everything, but it takes a ton of power away if you run into the ignition cut. Just to turn it all back on, now that we've kind of built our lines, A and B line. A is this lowest one, B is the next one, and then the green line is the ignition cut. And just to show you guys a couple more tools before we go to the next log, if there's somewhere along the way, like we're just trying to, oh, here I want to add some detail, you can always right click and add a point, and then right there, it added that point right where I wanted it. Something else, if there's an area you're like really trying to get zoomed in on, like really early in the run, you can click and drag this square. And I mean, it zooms you in crazy amount of detail right here. So if you're really trying to nitpick it and get it right on something, you can zoom in like that. When you're done, like, okay, putting a dot there, you just right click again, reset zoom, and we can see the whole graph. So that pretty much wraps up what we're going to do with this radial log. We built one from scratch. It's more, you know, really linear, kind of easy to build something on this. Give me just a sec. We're going to open the big tire log and look at that and then bring it over here. That one's already got a curve built in, but we're going to talk about it. All right, so now we're going to go to a slick tire log and kind of what you would use for a drive shaft curve on that. Just some background, this is a decent sized Pro Charger 481X car, big tire car. And as you can see, our drive shaft RPM looks nothing like that radial car. Most guys with a slick tire, you're going to end up with some spin up right here and the tire grabs and it goes. If we try to plot this line where this is just a perfectly straight line, more times than not, that's going to take so much power away from the car that it either kind of bogs or it's going to end up shaking the tire here. So this is a kind of a natural movement and you're going to let it do that, and then after that we can control out here. So we have the log, we're going to open the tune from it and put this log in the time-based features. This is the tune. It already ran a drive shaft curve, that's why it's got something in it. Let's do load data log file, big tire log. I'm going to minimize the side tab so we got something bigger to look at. So through here, you can see this drive shaft is way different than we would use on the radial car. I'm going to turn it off. We're just going to look at the A line because that's the first one it's going to hit, just so it's simpler to look at. So the A line, you see once again we start out really high, something we can never hit over here. And I mean, we're just taking the top off of this little increase in the drive shaft RPM there. And another option you have here to make it not slow down too much, our timing low number, this one's all zeros. Our timing high number, it doesn't even let it pull 1 degree until we're 1.1 out. So even though it ran all the way past up here, it could pull like, I don't know, half a degree, something like that. It's barely enough to slow that thing down. So you're gonna let it do its thing and then come back over here. And then once we're 1.5 seconds out, we're gonna pull 3 degrees. So as we go up, like right here, that little spike, it pulls some timing out. And you can actually even see this in the logger. Like if we go and find, this is speed timing retard. This channel shows what the drive shaft actually did on the timing. So right here it pulled 0.5 degree out. Right here it pulls 2. And this wasn't the best track kind of situation, so that's why the drive shaft kind of wiggles out here. And that's why this car has a drive shaft curve in it, just to keep everything happy. The tire doesn't get away from it out here. If we look at our RPM numbers on the A and B line, so right here, let's say 0.75, that's 3,000. B line is 3,150. This one's set up really similar to that first example. There's just 150 RPM window. This is same idea as the radial car. We just got to keep in mind what this tire is going to do early and let it do its thing over here. All right, so this is pretty much all we can cover on this drive shaft curve stuff. Keep in mind, we're going to have more videos in this series, show you how to utilize all these different time-based plots. Like, just to give you a little preview, this car runs a lot of these plots. Like, it's got an engine plot, it's got time-based fuel enrichment, time-based ignition retard. But we're going to show you kind of step by step how to build one of those and then how to lay it all together and kind of make it work together. All right, guys, that's part 1 of this series. I think we covered everything you're going to need to know to be able to build your own drive shaft curve from here. If you have any more questions, let us know. Shoot us an email at support. Give us a call. We can help you out with it. And we'll see you next time.